This is part of a series of videos on time management, managing time all the way from thinking about long-term time planning down to the day-by-day task management. So in previous videos, I had talked about starting with lifelong priorities and then thinking about 5-year-long goals, so very long-term, and then 1-year goals. And then we talked about daily time management and how to manage the things that you're getting through in a given day. But some people have asked about the space between the 1-year goals, which I keep, as I've said, hanging on a list next to my desk. So that has 1-year goals on it. But how do I go from that to daily task management? Because there's a pretty big difference between what happens over the course of a year and what you're going to do on a given day. So I wanted to talk for a minute about that sort of level of planning. What I do is I have hanging up right over there at the side of my desk, and they used to be on a cork board, but now our cats have been trying to eat the push pins that you push into cork boards, which would be very unhealthy for them. So now they are held up there by magnets. But there are 3 months worth of pages. So I put up 3 months worth here so that you could see in general what it looks like. So the ones that I have, I used to use from a program called Calendar Creator, but I just updated my software, so I didn't bother to upgrade that because that was like a 20-year-old software program. So now I'm going to reset all of that information up into regular old Outlook, the Outlook calendar, and print out month by month. But the general concept is that I have 3 months worth of data hanging right there on my desk. So anytime I need to plan something in that kind of a time frame, I can glance over there and see what kind of entries on there. So for example, every second Thursday of the month, I have a Sutton writing group that I run. So I've got that on the second Thursday. Every second Tuesday of the month, I have a networking group, Geek Girls, that I run. So I've got that on there. Every third Tuesday, I've got a Boston writing group, and also the Blackstone Valley Art Association has their monthly meetings. So any of those kinds of events, I'll put on there. When I ran my weekly writing seminars for the local libraries, that went on there. When we had a vet visit on Thursday at 2, I got that on there. So it's a way of keeping track of specific events where I can just look over at the calendar and look at the next couple of weeks, the week at a glance. If I get something that's coming up, I can write it in there, and that way I'm sure that I've got it. So an upside is that I can just glance. I don't have to open any windows. I don't have to find my phone. It's always right there because I'm at my desk all day long, and that's an easy place to find it. The downside, of course, is if I am going out shopping or something like that, and someone calls me and I need to know, I have it mostly written in paper on the wall there, so I can't easily get to it. So I'm getting to a point where I'm thinking about putting this stuff into a Google Calendar, and that way I'll have to hand transcribe some of it onto the paper thing, which I use most of the time. But at least that way I'll have a backup for the few times that I leave the house and need to access to something outside of the house. So I do understand the value of having it electronically, so you can get to it anywhere. But for the type of work that I do, where I'm at my desk all day, and when a question comes in that I need to check my calendar, it's so much easier just to look over there, not have to open anything or click on anything or anything else. Just look over, see if there's a spot free or if there's not a spot free, and to know what I'm going to do. So if you move around a lot or going lots of different places every day, then it makes more sense to have it something portable. And maybe you want to use a paper notebook because that's easier for you to manage. Or maybe you like the electronic version so that you can keep it on different devices. All of that will depend on the type of schedule you have and the type of things that make sense to you. It's good to try different systems and see which works for you, because it could be the system that works well for me doesn't work well for you, and it could be that my system of having a paper thing in one place is really good for you, or it could be that it's really frustrating for you because you have to worry about those pieces of paper. But I wanted to give a general overview of how I plan things out at that kind of time frame. So I will note that I don't put projects on this kind of time list. This is for appointment kinds of things. So when I have writing seminars, when I have my weekly Zoom meetings with Valleycast, when I have my weekly Blackstone Valley Art Association meetings, those kinds of things where I have to block out a chunk of time and make sure that I'm available at that chunk of time in the right location. For project planning kinds of things, then I handle that separately, and I handle that with a Kanban board, and we will talk about that in a next video. But I wanted to make sure I covered the calendar aspect for handling schedules and appointments and things that need to be done at a certain time on a certain day so that you can map out to make sure that you stay available for that time. So if you have any questions at all about the calendar system that I use for keeping track of upcoming meetings in the coming short term, so I think of 3 months as fairly short term, to make sure that you've got the space blocked out and that you can just glance at it and see what's coming at you in the next month or two. This is the system I use, and it's one that I do recommend because it works extremely well for me. So ask if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to share the way that you manage all these things. And the next video that we talk about, we'll be talking about the Kanban board, which is more of the project planning aspect in that we'll call it medium short range of a couple months heading out into the future. So shorter than the 1 year planning, but longer than just what am I going to be handling today. Great. Thank you very much.